Welcome back to My Child and Autism online module. In this video, we're going to look at some further understandings about what is autism, what it is and what it's not, and what autism can mean for your child's social communication and social interaction. Let's look further at understanding autism. The cause of autism is unknown, but there's lots of research going on into autism. The research suggests that the brain of a person with autism develops differently, that a person with autism is neurodiverse rather than neurotypical. Genetics also plays a role in the development of autism, but that exact role is still unclear. Autism is a lifelong condition. Individuals with autism will always have autism, but as they learn and develop, they will manage their autism differently. What we do know for sure is that autism is not caused by parenting styles or by vaccinations. Autism has an official term which is Autism Spectrum Disorder, or ASD as we sometimes call it. During the course of this training, I'm going to use terms like autism, on the spectrum, or autistic when I'm talking about autism. ASD is really only used for assessment and reporting purposes. There are two core areas of assessment for autism and the diagnostic report that you will have at home for your child. Your child will have characteristics from both of the areas because a presence of characteristics from both areas leads to a diagnosis of autism. We're going to take a closer look now at social communication and social interaction, which is a big part of most people's lives. If you think of your everyday life and your interactions with others, you're communicating in so many different ways, both verbally and non-verbally. Your child could have differences in the development of their social communication and their social interactions due to their autism. Your child might also have differences in their functional language. That is the language that they can use to get what they want or express what they need or what they're thinking about. They might also have differences in tone and the amount of volume that they use when they're speaking. Your child might also have differences in listening. With your child's listening, they might focus on just the first few words that are said to them. So that's why it's often good to keep your communication with your child short, sharp and shiny. In their understanding of language, your child may appear to understand a lot more words than they actually do. There can be a huge variation for children in how they acquire language. Some children might be quite slow to acquire language and slowly develop their vocabulary and their articulation of words. Other children might learn lots of words and be able to speak on their favourite subject for a long time. But for the children who are slow to learn language, there are many different supports, ranging from sign language and just using gestures with them through to all sorts of other supports around communication that we'll talk about later. They might take many seconds to process the words that are being said to them, especially without a visual clue. Your child might also be very literal in their understanding of words. For example, they think that when you say "get out of my hair," that's actually what you mean. In their nonverbal communication, your child may miss some of the cues. For example, the expression on their playmate's face. Nonverbal communication encompasses so many things: our body language, our personal space, and what we understand about other people's facial expressions, for example. Your child might have differences in the way they interact with other children. They might need to be explicitly taught what to say if they want someone to play with them. They might have differences in the way they play and share. For example, they might see the truck that little Johnny's holding onto way before they see little Johnny. So your child on the autism spectrum may struggle with what's called joint attention. So they might not come to you if they've hurt themselves, for example, and they might not come to you to share their great experiences as well. So it's kind of up to you to be on the lookout for those moments when you can engage with your child. Have you noticed with your child that if you ask them a general question like, "How was your day?" they don't know how to answer because there's so many possibilities. But if you ask them a concrete question like, "Did you play with Jack?" or "Did you have a swing today?" then they can answer you straight away. All children go through 4 stages of learning to play. Babies are solitary players. They're very happy playing with their fingers and toes. And then children, generally at the toddler stage, go on to parallel play. I've got a truck, you've got a truck, we both push our trucks. Often at this stage, children are in the onlooker stage of learning to play as well, where they'll watch what other people are doing and learn from that. They really like modelling and copying other people. The last stage of play is what's called cooperative play, and at this stage children are starting to learn the rules about how do we play with other people, what do we say, and they're understanding the expressions on their friends' faces and how things are happening around them. For many children on the autism spectrum, they will spend longer on those initial stages of play before they learn all the rules of engagement, as I like to call it, of cooperative play. Children on the autism spectrum often have differences too in understanding others. This is often to do with a system called theory of mind. For typically developing children, they will learn about theory of mind often by the time they're about 6. This is where children will learn that everyone else in the world sees the world slightly differently to me. They have different feelings, different ideas. But for a child on the spectrum, they can often think that everyone else around them also sees the world the same way as they do.
When it comes to talking about caterpillars, Janie is a chatterbox. She'll give facts about them to anyone and everyone. But she doesn't ask others what they are doing or what they like. She avoids playing with anyone who's playing Let's Pretend because she's very literal. She is Janie. She's not a firefighter or a princess or a puppy dog.
No!
Her interactions are focused largely on and tend to go better with the adults in her life, her older sister and cousin, rather than children her age. This means her family need a getaway plan for her when their friends with kids come over to visit. When Janie's in her caterpillar zone, she often doesn't respond to others who talk to her. When she's becoming tired or frustrated, she will physically guide people to show them what she needs or wants, as it can be hard for her to find the words she needs, like when she pulls Dad to the kitchen cupboard for more crackers. Janie's family have worked out some strategies that help her, like showing pictures of things so she can point to what she wants, and joining in with her play instead of trying to direct her play. They often have the most fun with Janie when they're caterpillar hunting or jumping and swinging together.
So now we're back to the planning workbook. This time we're thinking about social communication and social interactions. The first section that we're looking at is characteristics. And as you can see, it's set out a little bit differently. There's lots of tick boxes for this one. So some of these characteristics might be really relevant for your child where they're at the moment, and others maybe not so much. There's also a section at the bottom where you can add any other characteristics that are not listed there in the tick boxes. When I think about Janie, some of the characteristics in social communication and social interaction that are important for Janie are that she physically shows people what she wants or needs, especially when she's feeling tired or upset. Also, she prefers to play alone or with adults or older children rather than with her own peer group. Janie also finds pretend or imaginary games really tricky because she's a very literal thinking little person and she's not a princess or superwoman. The last point that I'm going to make about Janie's social communication and social interaction characteristics is that she loves having conversations about topics that are really dear to her, like her caterpillars. So this second section is about the impact of your child's characteristics of social communication and social interaction, both for your child and for your family. So if I'm thinking about Janie, I know that Janie can find it difficult or she can be a lot slower to follow instructions if they're only verbal. It can also be difficult for Janie if there are visitors into her home and her family need to give her lots of strategies and support then. It's also difficult for Janie's extended family and friends to understand her sometimes. So Janie's family are able to support them with strategies and also support Janie with strategies to enable that communication. So now we're looking at strategies for social communication and social interaction. We've already done characteristics and impacts, and they're really important to do first because that way we know what strategies to implement at this point in time and at this time in your child's development. Sometimes therapists will also give you strategies as well, and this is a constantly evolving part of your document as your child grows and develops. When I think about Janie, I know that one strategy that works really well for her is having visual supports alongside verbal communication. I know that for Janie, having one instruction at a time works really well for her. Another strategy that works really well for Janie is to join her in her play rather than expecting her to come and play with someone else with what they're interested in. But if people can go and join in with Janie, then they will have a great interaction and communication with her. And lastly, for social communication and social interaction, we look at the supports for your child and your family at this time. Supports will always be added to, but at the moment for Janie, her main supports are her family, her extended family, the educators at preschool and childcare, and her gymnastics coach. All of these people in your support team can help implement the strategies that are so important for your child's development and also add new strategies because you're all part of the team around your child. That ends our second topic. In our third topic, we'll look at the second core area of autism, restricted or repetitive patterns of behaviour, interests and activities. So see you soon.